Hello, everybody, and welcome to Poll Review, where we're going to be going over all the polls that I put out every day about how to get a job and careers and entrepreneurship, but mainly jobs and careers. And what does it teach us? So let's dive in. Okay, here we go. This was 7 days ago. Here's the question. You pass a job interview by telling the interviewer what they think is awesome, or telling the interviewer what you think is awesome, or it doesn't matter because those two options are the same. So most people here were absolutely correct, telling the interviewer what they think is awesome. Now, why did I put out this poll? Because I want people to think about this concept, okay? Just because you think that something is awesome does not mean that the interviewer is going to see it that way, okay? We see this a lot in job interviews where somebody says, oh, I'm a detail-oriented person, or I'm very extrovert, or I have this trait, right? I always verify things 3 or 4 times before I consider them done. You may say it as a sort of badge of pride, basically, like, I'm very proud of this. This is obviously a good thing. Unbeknownst to you, when they hear it, they go, no, that's not really what we're looking for. That's not really a strength. That's actually more of a weakness when it comes to this role. So it's very important to be aware of this concept, especially in job interviews. Okay. I mean, we encounter this, in every situation almost. There's many, many situations where this is valid. However, in job interviews, it's definitely a thing. And it's usually the number one reason why people fail job interviews. Okay. Here's the next question. 6 days ago, I put this out. A job search campaign should consist of. Okay, now what should you do in a job search campaign? A, responding to job ads. B, responding to job ads and broadcasting yourself on social media. C, responding to job ads, broadcasting yourself and applying in person. Or D, informational interviews with executives. Or E, all of the above. Well, I strongly advocate for all of the above. I'm going to like my own video. That's a sign of true professionalism, liking your own video. I actually use this as a signal, for the ones that I've done and the ones that I haven't. But yes, okay, look, if your job search campaign just consists of you responding to job ads, you might want to add some other things to it. Responding to job ads is surprisingly one of the worst ways to get a job. It's the default way for a lot of people. It's the first thing that leaps to mind. However, it usually provides it does not provide usually the best jobs that are out there. And it certainly doesn't indicate all of the jobs that are out there. What you're seeing is about 20% or something of the jobs that are actually out there. That's what you're seeing, okay? And the problem is a lot of other people are competing for those same jobs, so it makes it even tougher, right? What else can you do? Broadcast yourself on social media. Now, obviously, there's a right way to do this and there's a wrong way, but the concept is perfectly valid. If you're broadcasting yourself in the right way, in the right places, to the right people, it can be very advantageous, okay? And the third one here, applying in person, this is most definitely a thing in 2023, okay? This is actually very, very powerful, but there is a way to do it, okay? You can't just show up and don't know what to expect and have it fall flat on your face. There is definitely a way to do this. And like I've said many times on my channel, the short version is you show up, you walk through the doors of the organization, the front doors. Usually you'll get to some kind of reception desk. Usually that's as far as you'll go. You tell the receptionist or whoever is there, hi, would I be able to speak with the manager of this department? Something like that. 95% of the time, the answer is going to be no, I'm sorry, they're not available. And you're like, okay, that's not a problem. If I were to drop this off and you give them a copy of your resume and even better, also a copy of your business card, you say, if I leave these here, would you be able to pass that on to them? Would that be okay? 95% of the time, they'll say, sure, not a problem. You say, okay, well, thank you very much. You have yourself a great day. And then you leave. That's what applying in person looks like, okay? And then the second part of it is that you then follow up with a phone call to the manager or whoever your resume and business card were for. And you say, I'm just following up. I wanted to check that you did in fact receive the resume and business card that I dropped off at the reception desk the other day. The receptionist told me that they would pass that on to you. I was just wondering if that's happened yet. And then they say yes or no. But either way, you're saying, okay, I just wanted to make sure you get it. If you haven't received it, just maybe check with the receptionist. I asked them to pass that on to you. That's okay. Have yourself a great day. If they have received it, you say, okay, great. I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted you to know that, I'd love to do this job. If you have any questions about me or anything I can be of any further assistance, please let me know. This is my phone number. Thank you very much. Have yourself a great day. That's the only thing this involves, okay? Because if you do this, number one, you're signaling that you're passionate about the job, that you're interested enough to A, show up physically in person, and B, to follow up with a phone call. It also has given the hiring manager, the person that you spoke to, a personal interaction with you. So already you've elevated yourself above every other candidate that just sent in their resume. They're a completely unknown quantity. Whereas you have shown how professional you are, how easy you are to deal with. And they can always go and talk to the receptionist and say, this person that showed up yesterday to drop off their resume, what did you think of them? Were they nice? And the receptionist will probably say, yeah, they were pretty nice. They were pretty professional. And already you've used that to demonstrate several great things about you. That can usually give you an edge. So if it's a job that you're really, really specifically interested in getting that job, this is a very powerful way to do it. Informational interviews with executives. If you know how to do this, this is incredibly powerful. This unlocks an entire world of great jobs. And you don't have to be going for an executive job. You could be going for an entry-level job, but still do this if you know what you're doing. And they're usually like 90% of executives are always on the lookout for talented, dedicated people. And what usually is the outcome of this is that they will tell their head of HR or some other person in the organization, look into this person. I think we could really use them in your department. I'm interested to hear what you think. And that's usually a very strong indicator that they should look into you and strongly consider hiring you. Okay, these are all tools. Obviously, there's a bit of details on each one, but these are all things you can do. And some of the more exotic ones that I've just mentioned, they usually result in great jobs at the end of it. So food for thought if this is all new to you. Okay, 5 days ago, I put out this. What's more important? Technical skills, being able to work with people, or a desire to do the work? Now, far be it for me to disagree with the results here, but this third one, that's actually the most important. If you don't have any interest in doing the work, nothing else can save you, okay? You could be Albert Einstein. You could be the most capable person that could do the work really well, but if you hate doing it and it's the last thing you want to do and you're just looking to leave, or retire or something, nothing can save you. Great technical skills can't save you. Being able to work with people can't save you. This comes first. Now, assuming you have this, okay, then the other two are very important, okay? All the technical skills in the world won't do you any good if you can't work with people, if you're off-putting, if, no one can communicate with you, no one can talk to you without you getting upset, without them getting upset, without them having a really bad day if they've got to deal with you. If that's the effect of interacting with you has, then all the technical skills in the world won't do you any good. Okay? If nobody wants to deal with you, that'll be a problem. And once again, you could be great at dealing with people, but if you have absolutely no ability to do anything, once again, it's over, right? You need to have these two in equal measure for it to work. But before you can have these, this is the thing that's got to be there. So I would say this would be the right answer for this, but that's just me. 4 days ago, I got to change the camera angle to keep things fresh, so I'm told. That's what I've been told. I don't know if I believe it, but there you go. So 4 days ago, I asked this, true or false? If I don't answer a recruiter's question entirely freely, I'm not being honest. Now, I got a lot of people saying, well, what the hell does that mean? I don't understand. I don't know what freely means. I got all kinds of questions like that. But basically, you guys thought that's false. I tend to agree. Okay. A job interview is a sales pitch. Okay. You are pitching yourself. You are trying to sell yourself. Okay. In order to do that, usually you have to put a spin on things. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, number one, it means you don't lie, but it means you emphasize the good points and de-emphasize the bad points. That's what it means, okay? So any salesperson will do this. If they're trying to sell you something, they'll tell you all about the advantages. Here, it'll do this for you. You don't have to worry about it. It'll make this easier. It'll pay for itself after a year, whatever, right? They won't volunteer, well, the quality control is not great and it is complicated to use. You got to read the entire instruction manual before you can use it. Most people don't, so they tend to not use it correctly, and then it doesn't give the advantages. They're not going to volunteer all of that, right? They want you to buy it. They're not lying. They're just emphasizing the good points, de-emphasizing the bad points, okay? Like it or not, this is what people do, and this is how people communicate in the real world when they're trying to persuade someone, okay? Honesty is definitely a good thing, but if you're trying to sell someone, especially someone you don't know, you try and emphasize the good points, de-emphasize the drawbacks, right? So that's what we're talking about here. Okay, now in a job interview type situation, okay, if you don't answer the recruiter question entirely freely, that means if they say, what are your weaknesses? And you say, oh, well, I get really violent when I lose my temper, and I lose my temper a lot. Don't ever talk politics with me because I lose my temper a lot. If you go into that kind of honesty because you're speaking totally freely, it can really do you harm in terms of making a good first impression. Okay, that's the key here. So I ask this question to get people thinking about this. Okay, it's good to be honest. You do not want to lie in a job interview. You don't want to lie, period. Okay, in any kind of professional dealing. Usually, it's very risky, and if it does come back to bite you, it can bite you hard. Okay, so and also trust is based on the trust not being betrayed, and once trust has been betrayed, it's very hard to get it back, if not impossible. So don't go down this path. Okay. You want to be honest, but you are allowed to put a spin on things and to sell it. Okay, so just be aware of that. For first-time job seekers or younger people, you are allowed to sell yourself. Okay, you are allowed to emphasize your strengths and talk about strengths rather than talking about your weaknesses. Right? Okay, 3 days ago I asked this: true or false? I feel much more comfortable at a job interview when I have other job interviews lined up. Obviously, this is true. 86% of you saw it that way. Yeah, this is totally true. If you don't have anything lined up, and this is it, and you only have this one chance, obviously you're going to be a lot more nervous, right? And so a great way to have more confidence in job interviews and to sort of conquer your nerves is to have other things lined up. So if you know that, okay, after this interview, I've got another interview at a different company tomorrow, and then another one on the day after, and then I've got one next week. And then on top of that, I'm talking to 2 recruiters for 2 other jobs trying to maybe set up an interview. So if you've got that in the back of your mind, that'll give you a lot of confidence that you go in, you do your best, and hey, if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. You got a lot of other things lined up, okay? Easy way of boosting your confidence and doing better in a job interview, okay? It's just by having other things lined up. So never forget that. Okay, 2 days ago, we had this gem. The question was, the best answer to the job interview question, can I get you something to drink, water, coffee, is, and then you get these options. No, thank you. B, yes, thank you, yes, a water would be perfect. C, yes, thanks, I'll have a scotch and soda. D, could you spare a small rainbow sherbet vodka? And E, yes, I'd like 10 Red Bulls. Now, I think a lot of people didn't pick up on the fact that this is a joke. Every Saturday I do a joke question. Okay. This whole thing here, can I get you something to drink, water, coffee? That's not a job interview question. I mean, they could ask that at a job interview, I suppose, right? But it's not a job interview question. There isn't a best answer as far as I know. I meant this as a joke. No one's going to say, guess I'd like 10 Red Bulls. I mean, maybe you could, I suppose, but it wouldn't be serious, okay? So maybe if you had an interview with Red Bull, you could ask for 10 Red Bulls, I suppose, maybe try and get in their good books. But no, this was meant as a joke. But if you want to take it seriously, the thing that everybody said, 66% of you guys said, responding, thank you, yes, a water would be perfect. That would be a perfectly good response. Even if you don't drink the water, that would be good. If you really want to analyze this to the nth degree, when someone offers something, especially in this context, and they're offering a water, it's safe to assume that, you know, if you accept, that would make them a microscopically bit more happy, right? If you refuse, you know, I suppose on a sort of subconscious level, it could possibly be a bad thing. You know, it kind of sets up more of an adversarial relationship, or they think they're being helpful, but you're signaling that you don't find that helpful. You know, I don't know. If you really want to go to the nth degree, but this was meant to be a joke. And a lot of people, like I got a lot of comments here, a lot of people responded like it was a dead serious question. So let's treat it like a dead serious question. This would be the quote unquote correct answer. And finally, brings us to our last question. I asked this yesterday. The job interview process tends to favor introverts or extroverts, and 96% of you guys said extroverts. I tend to agree, especially considering that a lot of recruiters tend to be extroverts. They've gone into something that involves dealing with people. There's slightly more extroverts in that game than introverts. Now, there are exceptions, okay? 4% of you guys said introverts. And one obvious example where introverts, you would have an advantage being introvert would be if your interviewer is an introvert. And this is not unheard of. I mean, if you are in a technical area, you work in engineering, science, anything technical, right? Accounting, IT, whatever, where you have a disproportionate number of introverts. It's more introverted than extroverted generally in that environment. You could likely have a hiring manager who's interviewing you, and they themselves are an introvert. Now, if you're an introvert, maybe there's a bit more rapport there, okay? I mean, remember, introverts can have social skills every bit as good as an extrovert. The difference is that an introvert will not do it for fun. That's the difference. That's what makes them an introvert. It's an energy draining experience. It's not an energy charging experience. Extroverts find being surrounded by a ton of people and talking to them and interacting with them, they find that an energy charging experience. They enjoy that. That's what they do to relax, to enjoy themselves. Introverts will do it because they have to do it, but not necessarily because it's what makes them feel good and something that they do for fun. Okay? So you can be an introvert and have a good rapport with the interviewer if they also are an introvert. They might not get that from interviewing an extrovert. So that is possible. I know some people were asking, in what universe would an introvert be better at an interview? Well, it happens. It does happen. Okay. And I'm going to advocate for introverts. I myself am an introvert, and, introverts with social skills can kick ass. So never let anyone tell you different if that's who you are. Anyway, that brings us to the end of poll review for today. Thank you for joining me. I see there's 15 people here. What I'm going to be doing starting next week is I'm going to be incorporating poll review into my regular how to get hired Q&A live stream. So I'll start off with a poll review. I may not go into as much detail as I've been doing in these dedicated live streams, but that's what I'm going to be doing starting next week. So it'll simplify everything. And that's where I'll be doing these. Thank you for completing the polls. I had thousands upon thousands of people that are voting in the polls. That's great to see. And the reason I asked the questions in the first place is to get people thinking about some of these concepts and ideas. okay, because they do relate to valuable real world principles, okay, that you will encounter in the hiring process. So that's why I ask them. Some of the questions themselves might not be, the smartest questions ever, but the idea behind the question is what I'm driving at. And I ask them because I see people not registering these principles and it's harming them. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. You guys are awesome. I will see you next week. Take care.